Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Martha Ayala, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. As a reminder, I do every video in English and Spanish, and the degree theory is based on modern Western astrology. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about retrograde planets. And specifically, I want to talk to you about the retrograde planets for 2025. I did that in the individual planetary energies videos that I did for each sign, but in this one, I updated the worksheet that I had, and I added the stationing um, periods for the planets because that's very important, and also the shadow periods. So I wanted to share with you, and this information that I'm going to talk to you about today in a general perspective, you can apply it to other retrogrades, for 2026, 2027, till the end of time, of things that you should do and things that you should not do, of course, based on the degree theory. Now, I wanted to show you, I use an ephemeris, this one, right? And I manually calculated the shadow periods. However, I wanted to share with you this website. So if you guys don't want to buy an ephemeris, which is absolutely fine, then you go to cafeastrology.com/retrogrades.html, and it will give you current and upcoming retrogrades and stations and dates and graphs and the whole bit, right? So it will show you, right? This is for 2023. Let me see. Okay, these are not clickable. But anyway, and here you have the ephemeris for all of these years. So you can do without the book, right? But this gives you everything, and it tells you what the retrograde periods is, um, the stationing, all the information that I'm about to give you, you can find it on this website. All right. Um, so you guys get an idea. Again, it's cafeastrology.com/retrogrades.html. Now, what I am going to do now is share the worksheet that I created. And here we go. And then talk to you about how to apply this to your natal chart and what are the things that you should do and should not do when planets are retrograde. So, as a general rule, when a planet is retrograde, you should not initiate things. And according to the type of planet, well, that's what you shouldn't initiate, right? Now, let's discuss Mercury as the first planet. You can see that Mercury is going to go retrograde March 15th of 2025 at 9 degrees of Aries. And it will station at 9 degrees of Aries on March 13th through March 18th. And the shadow period is March 1st of 2025 through March 14th of 2025, which is the pre-shadow, right? Before it goes retrograde. And then the post-shadow retrograde, the post-shadow period is after it goes direct, April 7th of 2025. So the post-shadow period is April 8th of 2025 through April 25th of 2025. So let me explain what this whole retrograde thing is. From our viewpoint here on Earth, we see all the planets going direct or moving forward. But then from our view here on Earth, they station or stop. And this is the time that they're, for example, this first example is going to station. Mercury is going to stop at 9 degrees of Aries and then go backwards or go retrograde. That's the way it looks from our viewpoint here on Earth. Now, none of these planets actually stop. or go backwards. Okay. But that's the way it looks from down here. All right. Now, and you all know that the sun and the moon do not retrograde, period. Only these other planets, right? Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. These are the only planets that retrograde. Now, what does this mean? What this means or how to use it, okay? If you have planets in Aries plus or minus 3 degrees from 9 degrees of Aries, you are going to get extra activity from Mercury. So we're talking about Aries 6 degrees to 12 degrees. Those are the planets. If you have any planet in Aries around those degrees, or you have the angles of your chart. The angles of your chart are the ascendant, the IC, the descendant, and the MC, right? The four corners of the chart. The first house, the fourth house, the seventh house, and the 10th house. Those are the angles of the chart. Now, if you have, like I said, these degrees from 6 to 12, Mercury, you might get some communication from somebody from your past, right? It could be a business deal. It could be, in love. It could be some from a sibling. It could be some type of communication, text message, email. Now, the signs that are mostly affected by the Mercury retrograde is Gemini and Virgo. Why? Because Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. And again, I'm talking to you about the degree theory, right? These are the ones that mostly get affected. It could be that you hear, let's say you're in Aries rising, it could be that you do hear because it's going to happen in Aries and Pisces for this period of time. Could be that you also hear from somebody, but what I'm saying is that these signs, Gemini and Virgo, their life just gets turned around big time. Now, what happens to the stationing period? The stationing period, Mercury is going to hover or like stand still at 9 degrees of Aries from March 13th through March 18th. And it is going to stand still in Pisces at 26 degrees of Pisces, which is 23 to 29 degrees of Pisces from April 6th to April 9th. And again, the shadow period after April 25th, Mercury is going, direct big time, top speed ahead. So what I want you to consider is the pre-shadow as, I'll give you an example. When you're driving a car and you see a red light, you start to brake, right? Until you get to to stop at the light. So this pre-shadow is the planet slowing down or braking to when it stops, which is the stationing period. And the post-shadow is if you are just standing there at the red light with your car. Once that light turns green, you don't floor the car, right? You start to accelerate. Well, that's the same thing. The post-shadow period is the planet starting to accelerate to get to, full speed ahead, right? So this is the pre-shadow is the braking, and the post-shadow is the accelerating. I hope that that makes sense. That's about the only analogy I could think of that, I could relate to this type of situation. Now, when Mercury is retrograde, I am the type of astrologer that says don't buy any electronics during this period. And I mean computers, phones, cars, appliances. I just wouldn't buy any electronics during this period because If you buy something expensive, you will regret it. You will either return it or it will not function the way it should be functioning, right? And I speak from personal experience. I had a computer break down on me, um, and I needed it for work, and I had to get it because I didn't have a choice. So I went ahead, and even though we were in a Mercury retrograde period, I'm like, okay, I have to use it, so fine. Would you believe that has been the only computer that I have ever bought that the motherboard started melting, okay, after a few months. So I was like, I mean, sometimes you don't have a choice and you have to buy something, or you have to get your car repaired. But if your car breaks down, because Mercury affects travel, transportation, um, and it's classic when the the worst days are these stationing dates. So that's when airlines cancel flights or they're delayed or something happens that your travel plans or the baggage is lost. That type of situation happens when these stationing periods. That's when I have seen that delays, car rentals too. There's a mix up with the reservation or something to that effect. Now, I don't, if you have to buy something because your phone broke or it malfunctions or whatever, um, get an extended warranty. Or if you need to travel, buy travel insurance. That's what I would do if I didn't have a way to work around this, right? Because I understand that life goes on. But definitely, I wouldn't buy, if things can be postponed, right? Then do so after, like for example, here after April 25th. That's when I would go ahead and, get a car or a phone or, computer or something to that effect. Now, for Venus retrograde, Venus is going to retrograde from March 2nd of 2025. And Mercury, Mercury goes retrograde these two other times, right? July 18th of 2025 at 15 degrees of Leo, and it goes direct August 11th at 4 degrees of Leo. So the stationing period is this, and the pre and post periods are that. Retrograde again November 9th and it goes direct on November 29th. It goes retrograde at 6 degrees of Sag, and then it goes direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio. And here is the stationing period. Now, for Venus, Venus goes retrograde March 2nd of 2025 at 10 degrees of Aries, and it goes direct April 13th of 2025 at 24 degrees of Pisces. Venus retrogrades affect mostly Taurus and Libra because they're ruled by Venus. These are the people that hear back from their exes. Now, if your fifth house boyfriend, girlfriend happens to fall in Taurus or Libra, then, like for example, if you are a Gemini rising, your fifth house is Libra. So you might hear, I'm an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, um, some communication, because look at this. Mercury and Venus are retrograding pretty much at the same time, right? So, and look at the degrees. They're going to go over 10 degrees of Aries and 24 degrees of Pisces. So definitely Pisces, starting from what? 21 degrees to 27, and then this one is 23 to 29. So the last third of Pisces is going to hear, it's going to hear from somebody from the past. And anyway, so these are the stationing periods, and these are the shadow periods, pre-shadow, post-shadow. Now, with Venus retrograde, obviously don't get married during a Venus retrograde. That's not a good idea. I would not have any elective beauty procedures done during a Venus retrograde. It's not a good idea. You won't be happy with the outcome of the procedure, right? And if you're doing something, to beautify yourself, then you want to make sure that you look good after spending all that money, right? So I would wait until Venus is direct. So it would be after May 16th that you can go ahead and schedule your beauty procedure. Now, when Mars goes retrograde, Mars is the ruler of Aries, according to modern Western astrology. Now, in um, Hellenistic astrology, Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. But remember that we're talking about modern Western astrology using the degree theory. So when Mars goes retrograde, the sign that gets affected the most is Aries. And Mars will retrograde on December 6th of 2024, and it will go direct February 24th of 2025. It will retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo, and then it will go direct at 17 degrees of Cancer. And these are the stationing dates. And you can see that, with Mercury, it's just a few days, right? Venus is a little longer. And then now Mars, well, you have like 10 days. It starts to get, the stationing time tends to grow wider, right? And then the pre and the post shadow period. Now, what are the things that you don't do during a Mars retrograde? You know that Mars is the planet of anger. It's the planet of war. It's a little hot planet, right? So you don't initiate any arguments. You don't initiate battles, court cases. You don't file for divorce proceedings. Um, as a general rule, if you initiate something like that, some kind of argument, court case or whatever, you will lose it. So now it's okay if somebody else initiates. You can respond, not a problem, right? But that person is gonna lose and you're gonna win the case. So Jupiter retrograde. Oh, and also with Mars retrograde, I would not initiate anything important. Like I wouldn't initiate a business or any type of um, action. You know, I would just, when retrogrades happen, it's a time to review, to reevaluate, to redo, resubmit, revisit, reevaluate. It's all the re words, right? So, I would just take a chill pill, and especially for Aries, I know that's hard to hear because you guys are go, 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 go. But, take a little breather and just chill. All right, so Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, the sign that's affected the most is Sagittarius. Now Jupiter is going to have two retrogrades, kind of, because the first retrograde started October 10th of 2024 at 21 degrees of Gemini, and these are the stationing times. And then it goes direct February 24th of 2025 at 11 degrees of Gemini. Now for Jupiter, you could see now we're talking about maybe a month and 10 days, right? And over here, it's a month. So the times of stationing are getting longer. With Jupiter, you get extra blessings, you get opportunities, but those opportunities, obviously, you need to take advantage of them, right? The second retrograde that we're going to have in Jupiter, which this is an edit from the videos, the yearly videos that I did, because I realized I'm like, wait, usually planets go, like the bigger planets go retrograde, sometimes a couple of times in a year. Like for example, this one, It started October 10th of 2024, but it's going to still go direct in 25, right? February 24th of 2025. But then the retrograde for 2025 starts on November 11th of 2025 at 25 degrees of Cancer, and then it'll go direct March 11th of 2026 at 15 degrees of Cancer. And again, these are stationing dates for these degrees. So people that have plus or minus 3 degrees on either side, so we're talking about 18 to 24, we're talking about 8 to 14, we're talking about 22 to 28, or 12 to 18, you guys are going to get opportunities that are coming up for you. So I would take advantage of them. Now, when Jupiter is retrograde, it is not a good idea to start a business, to open a business during Jupiter's retrograde period. Your business is not going to take off the way you want it to take off, right? Because Jupiter is the planet of blessings, of opportunities, of expansion. So you want your business to do well. So you don't want to cut off the growth of your business. Now, Saturn will go retrograde July 13th of 2025 at 1 degree of Aries. And this is a revision from the prior sheet because I had a typo. I put 10 instead of 1. So make a note. And then it'll go direct November 28th of 2025 at 25 degrees of Pisces. And these are the dates that it stations. Now you can see here, we're almost, what, 2 months worth of stationing. And then here it's 2 months worth of stationing. Now with Saturn, oof, you get life lessons. You get to review things that, maybe you took a shortcut and didn't pan out well. So now you get to do it all over again. So make sure that you do things right. Again, Saturn affects Capricorn the most because it is the ruler of Capricorn. And with Saturn rules time. So I would not open a business, start a business when Saturn is retrograde. Because you want it, you want your business to last, right? You want things to expand, Jupiter, and to last time with Saturn. So I would, wait until Saturn's retrograde is over. With Uranus, and this is another edit from the original sheet because Uranus has 2 retrogrades, or it falls. 2 retrograde periods fall in 2025. Now, Uranus is retrograde already because it went retrograde September 2nd of 2024 at 27 degrees of Taurus, and these are the stationing times. And then it's going to go direct January 30th of 2025 at 23 degrees of Taurus. And then this is the stationing time. So you all know by now, if you've seen my videos, that we have the demon star, Algol, at 26 degrees of Taurus. So between these times, there's going to be a lot of military action possible, and we're seeing it now, right? Like it seems like the whole world, a greater part of the world is attacking everybody, or they're tempting war stuff happening. So I anticipate that because Algol is here in the middle, so as I filmed this video, it's crossing. Uranus is crossing Algol. That's why we're seeing so many things happening with Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan, North Korea with South Korea. I had done a video with the eclipse that happened October 2nd. So if you want to revisit that, you can listen to it. Now, it's going to go retrograde again September 6th of 2025. and it's going to go direct February 4th of 2026. Now, when Uranus goes direct after January 30th, it will cross Algol again. And I believe it happens in March. March, I think 19th is the date that sticks in my mind. That's gonna be an interesting period of time. So, yeah, there's going to be more military action. There's going to be a potential nuclear event, which I hope I'm wrong. I hope that, we all pray and things calm down. But we have all the aspects of, you know, World War III, basically, on the edge of starting that. And for the United States, this Mars going retrograde in Cancer, that's an indication of a civil war here in the US on our soil. So, now when the second retrograde for Uranus goes, it's going to be at 1 degree of Gemini and it will go direct at 27 degrees of Taurus. So even though it's not going to cross Algo again, it's going to be like an honorary hit because it's only 1 degree away. So 2025 is going to be a very, it's going to be a difficult year. It's going to be, a little bit nerve-wracking. But hopefully after that, after it goes direct, then it will not go back to Taurus. It will stay in Gemini. Now Neptune. Neptune goes retrograde July 4th, 2025 at 2 degrees of Aries, and then it goes direct on December 10th, 2025 at 29 degrees of Pisces. And Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So when Neptune is retrograde, Pisces is the one that gets hit the most, basically. And then these are the stationing times. So you can see that it's like a month and 20 days. So it's about 50 days. And here it's November, December, January, 3 months is the stationing period. Now, with Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. So when Pluto goes retrograde, the sign that feels it the most is Scorpio. However, this Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are what they call generational planets. So, we get to feel it in the house where it's happening, right? And if it aspects any planet in our natal chart. So when Pluto is retrograde, Scorpio is the one that feels it the most, and it's going to retrograde May 4th of 2025 at 3 degrees of Aquarius, and then it'll go direct at 1 degrees of Aquarius on October 14th. Now, and this is the time that it stations at these degrees. Now, for Capricorns that are 28, 29 degrees, you will get an honorary hit because you are within those 3 degrees, right, of the 1 degree in Aquarius. So whatever's been happening with Pluto going back and forth over the 29th degree of Capricorn, this period of time will also impact it, even though Pluto won't go back to Capricorn, right? It's going to stay in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So, you know, Pluto's not going to be housed in Capricorn anymore. Now, with Pluto a retrograde, I would not have, just like Mars, when Mars is retrograde, I would not have any elective surgeries. Or Pluto being retrograde, no elective surgeries. Obviously, you know, if you need an emergency surgery, well, the word emergency says it all, right? You do it. But any procedures that can be postponed with Mars or Pluto, retrograde, I would not, especially for Mars. So of course you can, this is not medical advice, you can consult your doctor, but I'm saying from an astrological point of view, this is what I would stay away from. All right, so let me explain, and I'll take the example, well, like I said, Mercury and Venus are retrograding over the same degrees, pretty much. So I would think Aries and Pisces are going to be hearing from exes in business, or love. Business, Mercury, or love, Venus, right? Now, who are the signs that are going to be affected? Then you look at Aries. If it's a square, if you have planets in Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn close to these degrees, and I'm saying 6 to 12 degrees, it will be a square. So it will be a challenge, this Mercury retrograde. If you are a fire sign that have, well, if you have planets in fire signs in Aries, Leo, or Sag, so this Mercury retrograde is going to be trining those planets that you have in Leo and Sag if they are close again to the degrees that I mentioned. So we covered this way. Oppositions, if you have planets in Libra. Sextiles, it's fire and air. So sextiles are a small opportunity. So you would say Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. But with Libra, you have the opposition. So Libra, it's gonna, the squares and the opposition, of course, are the hardest ones. And then when it goes direct, Pisces is a water sign. So any water sign, Scorpio, Cancer, if you have planets there, then it's a trine. So you get a favorable communication from somebody from the past. If you have a square, it's a challenge. An opposition for Virgo, then these are challenges, right? And then the sextile for water signs is earth signs. So you're talking about Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. All right, so we've covered that. And this is how you apply it to all of the, all of the retrogrades for all the planets, the signs. Jupiter, for example, Jupiter in Gemini. So we're talking about Libra and Aquarius. You will get blessings because it's a trine. And then followed closely by the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sag, because it's a sextile that Jupiter is going to be making to your planets, right? Water signs here, because it stays in Cancer. So we're talking about Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. You are going to be getting blessings when Jupiter is in Cancer. An opposition, I was thinking about Capricorn, an opposition from Jupiter, even a square from a benefic planet, which is Venus and Jupiter, is not bad. You know, yeah, it's not an issue. If you have a square from Mars or an opposition from Mars, then that's a different story. So anyway, I'm hoping that you guys understand what I was trying to say and that the explanations have been clear as to how to use the planets, how they can impact you. And let me know what happens during these, if you have planets close to that 3 degrees, let me know what happened in the comments below. Or if you have any questions about anything that I have stated in this video, put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them as well. Anyhow, I hope that this video you have found helpful, that you have learned something from it. If so, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and send it to somebody that is trying to learn astrology, or it might also help. As always, if you would like a natal chart reading with me, please send me an email to amaastrology@aol.com. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.